Well, yesterday, Friday, was a pretty big day in American politics as the Marjorie Taylor Greene saga came to a pretty disappointing end, in my opinion. Look, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not my representative, kind of not so I'm not emotionally really attached to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She seemed like a nice person. She said all the right things. But I also think that she was not above the swamp. Many people pointing out, she was worth a couple $100,000 starting in politics, and now she's retiring 2 days after her vested insurance kicks in, and she's worth something like $25 million now. Her stock portfolio exploding. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not above criticism. In particular, I think this might offend some people who really love Marjorie Taylor Greene. And again, I kind of nothing her. She seems like a nice lady. I think she made her beg and now she's dipping. Her polling numbers were very, very low. The internet loved her, but she was polling at something like 12%. She made $25 million in her time, her limited time. And now she says, I don't want to be in politics anymore. It kind of reeks of the "you can't fire me, so I quit" stuff. But I don't think the way Trump is reacting is good. I don't think the way that Laura Loomer is reacting is good. Is that okay to have like a nuanced position where I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene was above a lot of the corruption in DC. She also admitted to, I guess, indirectly, she needs her illegal aliens for her construction company. I don't know. She's dipping right in time for the stopping insider trading stuff. I don't think really any politicians are great people. And I think that people kind of get sucked into that, where they become a fan. But again, I also don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene quitting, I don't really care. But I don't think Trump should be deriding her publicly. And I don't think so. She puts out this 10-minute video yesterday where she essentially says, I can't do anything about it. DC's corrupt, all this kind of stuff. My guess is she realized she's going to get a big fat salary on Fox News, or she'll start a podcast, or maybe she'll run for Senate. I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene's actually going anywhere like a lot of the kind of doomers are going. That said, she's probably getting, I think people fairly wonder, was she getting all sorts of threats because of her strong positions against Israel? I don't know. She lost me with the space laser stuff and a lot of the crazy stuff. But she puts out this video and a lot of people are responding. Harrison Smith saying, the Republicans should be ashamed. You and Massey and Tucker should start a new party. Maybe that's true. You see Laura Loomer celebrating, thank you for leaving, enjoy selling out to the radical left. I don't know about that. She critiqued Washington. She begins by criticizing the political industrial complex. I just think when Cenk Uygur is saying you should stay, I don't know how I feel about that. But it's entirely possible that she was threatened. She was very vocal in her criticism against Israel. So I'm not going to say I know better, right? Mike Cernovich says, maybe there is a threat you're not mentioning. If so, understood. If you're truly dropping out due to the nastiness, you should reconsider. Use your power in the split house to drive your agenda, and then don't run for re-election if you're truly done rather than quit early. A lot of people are really sad that she's going. She took no money for AIPAC. There are some good things with that. But a lot of people also pointing out, that she made an awful lot of money in government in a very short period of time. Maybe she didn't get it from Israel, but, this says, Marjorie Taylor Greene in 2020, everything is corrupt in DC. Send me in to fix it. Convert 700K into 25 million. MTG 2025, everything is corrupt in DC and I quit. I got to be honest with you. If the story really is as simple as her taking her bag and bailing, can you really blame her? Can you really blame her? But I don't really love Trump doing this. Marjorie Trader Brown. because of plummeting poll numbers and not wanting to face a primary challenger with a strong Trump endorsement where she would have no chance of winning. Well, I don't know about that. I don't think, I think the Trump endorsement is not really, I don't know. It might matter in, mega heavy areas, but I mean, certainly a lot of the people he endorsed did not win. I don't know why he called her brown either, to be honest. Has decided to call it quits. Her relationship with the worst Republican congressman in decades, Thomas Massie. Again, I don't have a problem with Massie of Kentucky, also known as Rand Paul Jr., because he votes against the Republican Party and really good legislation. Did not help her. For some reason, primary that I refuse to return her never-ending barrage of phone calls. Marjorie went bad. Nevertheless, I will always appreciate Marjorie and thank her for the service for our country. President Donald J. Trump. I mean, that's, if ever, a compliment sandwich, if I've ever heard it. You see this, MTG, the wealth boom nobody's supposed to question. In 2020, her estimated net worth was $700,000. In October 2025, it's $25 million. So in 5 years, she increased her net worth by $24.3 million. I think that is a fair question to ask, while also admitting that basically everybody in politics is doing this. I hate it. It's probably all just a show. I just don't think she's going anywhere. I think she'll be around. Again, not a great look. I don't agree with Laura Loomer saying, one of the biggest scandals is not really known to the public is that Marjorie Taylor Greene's insider trading, and to the extent in which she went to cover it up. Marjorie Taylor Greene is very sensitive about her stock trades, and she doesn't want anyone to know this little secret. What's the secret? She fired her deputy chief of staff Nick Dyer because he wouldn't help her cover up stock trades. A source has told me that Marjorie Taylor Greene went through his emails and fired him after reading his emails to reporters because she didn't feel like she was defending her enough when reporters would call and ask about her stock trades. She would berate him and demand that he run cover for her in writing. When Nick didn't cover up for her the way she wanted, she fired him. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. Nick Dyer has now locked his ex account down. He used to be a nice guy. I met him when MTG first ran, but then he started doing all of her bidding. I mean, I don't know. Her wealth primarily comes from a majority ownership in her family's commercial construction business. I don't know. Like, the commercial construction business went from being valued at $700,000 to $25 million in just a few years. Maybe she was getting some favorable, construction deals because of her closeness to the government. That's certainly possible. These are just possibilities. Again, I don't have anything against her personally. She wasn't my representative. Luke Rodowski saying, let's be honest, MTG was a fighter. With her throwing in the towel, it's not a good look.
Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt for life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars.
Again, I agree with every one of those positions of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Every one of these positions of Marjorie Taylor Greene, I agree with.
And demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative.
I don't think she's been super transparent about her stock trade stuff, which I don't think, look, it's like when Trump said, when Hillary Clinton told Trump, like, well, you don't pay very much in taxes because of tax loopholes. And Trump just said, well, close the loopholes. I kind of agree. And did she adhere to all these positions? Again, people point out, especially when she's staying just long enough to get that pension after making $22 million in office. I think that I kind of agree with that, to be honest with you guys. She becomes fully vested or whatever it is to get her stock benefits. on January 3rd. And so she's retiring January 5th. I mean, obviously that's a calculated thing. You know, when does her lifetime congressional pension kick in? What are her top 3 stock picks that made her $25 million in office? I don't disagree with the reason for leaving, but she shouldn't expect voters to line up behind a future Senate or presidential run. I can hear it now. If she quits the House, why would she stay and do the same thing in the Senate Oval Office? I agree with that. Trump tried to destroy me. I think she already had planned. I think she had already planned to leave office, to be totally honest with you guys. I really do. I mean, she made that comment about running for president. Then she kind of made different comments about leaving office. The bottom line is she made a lot of money. A lot. She made a lot of money. While in government, none of that is to say that the money she made was unlawful. It's entirely possible that every dime she made was completely legit. But, you know, I don't know. Yeah, why would she quit before her pension? Of course, I wouldn't either. Nobody would. A lot of the things she's doing are things that totally make sense, but why quit in the middle? It's almost like, is there a scandal coming? Is there something coming? Or people are saying, well, there's a threat. I don't know. But I don't like her quitting. I don't think it makes her look bold. I don't think it makes her look, you know, like a fighter or a hero. She was very loyal to Trump for her time, but the last year or two, I think, I don't know. I think she's going to throw in with the America First lot, which, again, I agree with 85% of what the America First positions are. I just really dislike most of the people in that movement. So we'll see. I don't think we've seen the end of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, I guess you'll have to let me know in the comments. It'll be interesting.